Thanks, Creep. What's up, guys? Danny here from the Lacercast, and we are covering Creepshow on Shudder, the latest episode entitled Night of the Living Late Show. And this is, believe it or not, already the season finale of season 2. And it's directed by Greg Nicotero, the guy who helped start this series, and it's written by Dana Gould. Dana Gould, longtime contributor to The Simpsons, also wrote and created Stand Against Evil, an amazing series if you haven't checked it out. Super fun, similar but not exactly the same as Ash vs. Evil Dead, but if you like Ash vs. Evil Dead, you will really enjoy Stand Against Evil. Well, he wrote this episode, and this episode feels like it was written and directed by people with a long-standing love and appreciation for horror. So, yeah. Stop making my face. This episode concerns Simon, played by Justin Long, no stranger to the horror community, from his performances in Tusk, and also Drag Me to Hell, which Sam Raimi, really good movie, but Tusk. Yeah. Simon is an inventor, and his wife, Renee, played by Darcy Carden, she comes from money, and her father didn't want her to marry Simon because the dad thought he was going to use her for her money. What did he want the money for? He wanted to invent this virtual reality simulator, which he calls the Immersopod. Imagine a tanning booth where you can get in and you can be put into your favorite film. Whatever movie is your favorite movie, if it's on the list, if it's programmed in, you can virtually go into your favorite movie and become a character in that movie. I feel like if this was an actual thing, movie fans would flip out about it, and we would pay ridiculous amounts of money to do this. He even mentions Jaws, my favorite movie of all time. He's like, imagine, you can go and you can be a character in Jaws. I don't know where, I wouldn't want to be any of the characters that go out onto the water, but that would just be so much fun. Anyway, he uses this machine, the Immersopod, to enter his favorite horror movie, Simon's, Justin Long's character, which is Horror Express, the 1972 film directed by Eugenio Martin, written by Arnold D'Uso and Julian Zemey, and starring horror legends Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing. This is a real movie, Horror Express. I have not seen it. This episode is going to make me go and watch it, because now that I've seen parts of it, I'm like, this movie looks freaking great. It's basically Terror Train, except instead of a serial killer on the train, there's this giant monster on the train that escapes from this crate and is killing everybody, and Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing have to stop it. So yeah, I am all in for giant monster on a train, Christopher Lee, Peter Cushing. Simon loves Horror Express, and he loves it because he is in love with the Countess, a character in the movie, originally played by Sylvia Tortosa in the 1972 film. And he basically keeps sneaking away from his wife so that he could go into the Immersopod, become a character in Horror Express, and fool around with the character of the Countess. This is done through like some Forrest Gump style editing of Justin Long alongside Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing and all the rest of the characters in Horror Express. The technology here is done, the effects are done so well. I love the effects here. I thought it was so seamless, and it looks so much fun. And again, as a horror movie fan, as a movie fan, this is something that if it existed, and if it were, an experience, my birthday's coming up. This would totally be something I would ask for my birthday. yeah, give me a run in the Immersopod. Let me live on Amity Island for a couple hours and deal with Bruce the Shark. But yeah. Also, I didn't mention this at the very beginning of the review. This is the season finale of Creepshow. All of the episodes have been, since season 1, have been 2 segments per episode. This is it. This is one 40-minute story contained in the final episode, which makes it a different viewing experience than the previous episodes because, 20 minutes and you're done, and then you go into the next story. Here, you get the Creeper beginning and end, kind of bookend, and then you get this straight up 40-minute story with these essentially 2 main characters, Simon and Renee, and I really enjoyed that aspect of it. You got to breathe more with these characters, and basically the bottom line here is his wife is getting annoyed with how much time he is spending in the Immersopod. She talks about how she feels him being distant and she thinks he might be in it for the money in their relationship. He says, no, I promise, baby, I love you. And then he's literally sneaking out of bed to go into the Immersopod to hook up with the Countess in a 1972 horror movie. She finds out about this. She goes into the Immersopod while he's sleeping, and she encounters the monster. And in the movie Horror Express, and spoilers for that movie, but this episode kind of did that for me, the movie's from 1972, so, the monster grabs her, and it has these, piercing red eyes that, they must suck the soul out of you or something. I haven't seen the whole movie. But she starts bleeding from her eyes. She gets blood dripping down her eyes. She's able to press the button. You hold a button with your thumb, and when you're ready to exit the Immersopod, the experience, you hit that button and you're out. The problem is this whole thing is kind of like Freddy Krueger, where if he kills you in the dream world, you get killed for real. So she is able to escape, but she's got the markings, she's got the eyes are, her eyes are bloody, and she realizes she can use this to her advantage. Her husband is, cheating on her without cheating on her in a virtual way. She's kind of sick of him using her and her money. So the next time he goes in there, she first changes his movie to Night of the Living Dead, the original George Romero classic, Night of the Living Dead from 1968. You see Dwayne Jones, and he's now there. And at first he's like, oh, this is interesting. I'm in Night of the Living Dead. Okay. She then uses a gardening tool to snip his thumb off. Without a thumb, he can't press the button to exit the Immersopod, and the episode ends with him getting munched by zombies in Night of the Living Dead. A fitting ending to episode 5, a fitting episode to season 2 of Creepshow. I want to talk about the bookend story here. So the story opens with a almost virtual reality video game of being in the original Night of the Living Dead. We open up on graves for Barbara and Johnny. You see the Night of the Living Dead zombies in the cemetery. You're fighting your way out of the cemetery. Then we go to the episode, and when we come out of the episode, we're back in there. Eventually, our POV character is able to escape the zombies by getting to again, this is Night of the Living Dead, so you see the Jeep that's been blown up trying to get gas. We're able to escape in a helicopter. That helicopter, this is all in VR video game mode, takes you over into the Monroeville Mall, Dawn of the Dead. Instead of going into the mall, though, you fight your way into a secure barracks. You press a button and you start to go down into Day of the Dead. It's this whole George Romero original Dead trilogy homage. Very fitting, being that this is from Greg Nicotero. And that's it. Season 2 of Creepshow on Shudder is done. Overall, this was a fantastic little season. My favorite individual episode was probably, I did love last week's Pipe Screams with Barbara Crampton. Loved her channeling her inner Adrienne Barbeau from the original Creepshow film. I also loved Pesticide, the episode with Keith David. I thought that was fantastic. That episode also had, Ashley Lawrence from Hellraiser. This season had so many horror icons sprinkled in there. Barbara Crampton, Keith David, Ashley Lawrence, Justin Long, who has a pretty good horror resume in his own right. Just overall, a really fun season. The episodes are short, they're 40 minutes. You can watch them. They go by so quickly. And like I said, with this episode, I love the concept. I love the idea of an Immersopod existing. I want to enter all of my favorite movies, specifically the horror movies. I think that would be so much fun. So that's it for Creepshow. Season 2 is done, but don't worry, the Lassercast is not done. Pete is coming up with a review, a recap of Joe Bob's Last Drive-In. That episode goes up on Shudder tomorrow, of course, so we will be recapping it this weekend. Right now on the channel, we have our Alien franchise ranking, which we did for 4/26, Alien Day. We also have a full review of Mortal Kombat, which has some pretty intense, I won't say horror scenes, but gore scenes in it. And then we have a lot of things coming up for you in May. We have 2 franchises that we are going to be covering in May in anticipation for new releases. And if you can't figure that out, it is the Saw franchise, waiting for Spiral from the Book of Saw to come out. And then it is the Conjuring universe, because Conjuring 3 is coming out on June 4th. So this is Danny from the Lassercast, and I will see you soon.